I mean, in the news now, with these parties that the government, the people in charge were breaking the rules, having these parties in their lovely gardens. I think I've been naive all my life. It's not till now I just go, why do we trust them? Of course we shouldn't trust the people in charge. That's how they're in charge. They shouldn't be trusted.
What happens when you throw together sharp British humour, a stack of unfiltered truth bombs, and the political version of soggy toast? Ricky Gervais had Starmer glowing like a Christmas tree in July, and trust me, it wasn't festive. From razor-sharp jabs to full roast mode, Gervais didn't ease up for a second, leaving Starmer blinking like someone dropped him into a philosophy seminar without notes. You're about to see exactly why. This wasn't a debate, it was a comedy masterclass, and someone definitely felt the heat.
The worst thing is, as well, apart from the pandemic and the devastation and the deaths and the strain on the health service and people losing their livelihoods and that, the worst thing is the in charge do what they want. And you know what, I see all these people saying
Starmer is the kind of bloke who turns up to a pub quiz and somehow overcomplicates a simple question like what's the capital of France? Like autocorrect, if it gained self-awareness and decided to run for Prime Minister, stiff, slightly awkward, and forever landing on the wrong answer with confidence. And believe me, it only goes downhill from there. This isn't your everyday political mediocrity. It's polished mediocrity, with a law degree and all the warmth of dry, unbuttered toast.
When are we going to stop taking went to Eton as a qualification to run the country? I mean, now.
While the world seems to be on fire, Starmer's main mission looks like trying to triangulate so aggressively he turns himself into a geometric diagram. One moment sounding vaguely socialist, the next at a quiet dinner with hedge fund donors, gently reassuring them that nothing too dramatic is coming their way. It's politics served lukewarm, carefully seasoned so the wealthy stay relaxed and the Daily Mail doesn't break into a panic, campaigning like he's slightly sorry to be there, and governing like a man convinced poverty can be solved with a well-labelled pie chart and a calm voice.
Starmer's premiership is now at 13% approval rating, the lowest approval rating of any Prime Minister in record.
Ricky Gervais, who's made a whole career out of dismantling the painfully self-important, took one look at Starmer and spotted pure comedic gold, turning what could have been competition into what felt like community service. If Starmer had a Tinder profile, Gervais would swipe left instantly and still somehow roast him in the bio, the kind of politician who'd spend 6 months crafting a detailed 10-point strategy about reconnecting with voters and then lose every single one of them by repeating the word reconnect 48 times in a single sentence.
Oh dear. It really went wrong for Keir Starmer this week after he addressed workers at a factory and mentioned Nigel Farage some 16 times.
And I'm speaking out today in relation to Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage, Nigel Farage, Nigel Farage, Farage, Nigel 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 Farage.
Embarrassing! Things went from bad to worse. The press, who have historically given him a free ride, which is, I believe, part of the reason why we are where we are.
And let's talk about energy. Ricky Gervais has more voltage in a single eyebrow lift than Starmer manages in his entire public presence, while Starmer's idea of passion is blinking twice mid-sentence and hoping that counts as emphasis. If charisma were fuel, Gervais could light up a stadium for a week, whereas Starmer would struggle to power a Tamagotchi, and when he walks into a room, the mood dips like someone just turned up to a wedding clutching a spreadsheet instead of a gift. Now you'd think someone leading the so-called opposition might occasionally try actually opposing something, But Starmer treats opposition like it comes with a warning label, handling Tory policies the way you'd carry a fragile antique, gently, cautiously, and with a quick glance toward Rupert Murdoch, just to be safe. It's like watching a mime argue with a brick wall while apologising for making too much noise. And Ricky Gervais can sense that hesitation from the other side of the studio, needing neither shouts nor insults, a small grin, a raised eyebrow, and Starmer unravels under the weight of his own damp. Rhetoric. Gervais doesn't even need to attack, he just describes. And somehow that's enough. While Starmer has become a politician so allergic to firm conviction, he'd need an EpiPen at the mere mention of strike action. The same Starmer who mastered the art of promising everything and delivering nothing. Campaigning like the terms and conditions on a new iPhone, long, dull, and forgotten the second you scroll past.
He betrayed Britain's fishermen. He sold them out to the European Union. He's concluded a Swiss-style agreement with the European Union, which effectively, by one man, by the fiat of one Prime Minister, has reversed the decision of 17.4 million people in the Brexit referendum in 2016.
Now you'd think someone leading the so-called opposition might occasionally try actually opposing something, but Starmer treats opposition like it comes with a warning label, handling Tory policies the way you'd carry a fragile antique, gently, cautiously, and with a quick glance toward Rupert Murdoch, just to be safe. It's like watching a mime argue with a brick wall while apologising for making too much noise. And Ricky Gervais can sense that hesitation from the other side of the studio, needing neither shouts nor insults, a small grin, a raised eyebrow, and Starmer unravels under the weight of his own damp. Rhetoric. Gervais doesn't even need to attack, he just describes. And somehow that's enough. While Starmer has become a politician so allergic to firm conviction, he'd need an EpiPen at the mere mention of strike action. The same Starmer who mastered the art of promising everything and delivering nothing. Campaigning like the terms and conditions on a new iPhone. Long, dull, and forgotten the second you scroll past.
Second largest city. That's not control. It's chaos.
I think the bigger you are, the more you can say what you want. I think we're coming out of it now, but there's been a good few years of ordinary people not being able to say what they want. And some, actors and comedians and artists get in trouble, but I suppose I'm at the stage where I can ignore it and still do and say what I want. So that's good. I mean, free speech is amazing anyway, isn't it? But to have such a platform.
He might be the first politician to unveil a manifesto apparently printed in disappearing ink blink and it's gone. Thought he was firmly backing nationalisation? That position faded faster than a lettuce in Liz Truss's fridge. Every time someone asks Starmer for a straight answer, you can almost hear the whirring of internal polling data crunching away in his head. Like calling customer service and being transferred through 17 departments only to discover the original policy no longer aligns with current strategic priorities. He's the political version of buffering. And the whole Starmer brand, where do you even begin? He genuinely seemed to believe the road to Downing Street was paved with Excel spreadsheets, grey suits, and the emotional range of a toast rack. When Ricky Gervais starts circling, it barely counts as satire anymore. It becomes anthropology, calmly examining a specimen so painfully bland, it makes porridge look like a thrill ride.
Are moving to warfighting readiness as the central purpose of our armed forces. When we are being directly threatened by states with advanced military forces, the most effective way to deter them is to be ready. And frankly, to show them that we're ready, to deliver peace through strength. Every part of society, every citizen of this country has a role to play.
You know things have truly gone off the rails when Ricky Gervais, the man who built a career roasting millionaire actors for thanking their agents, ends up doing the job the official opposition won't touch. Not because he's desperate to, but because someone has to speak up while Starmer dithers like. A glitching screensaver. While the Tories gleefully cannonball into taxpayer-funded hot tubs, Starmer is stuck in a meeting, wondering whether public ownership of water might upset a focus group. His big counterpunch always something like, "We must proceed cautiously with consultation and evidence-based reviews," which loosely translates to, "Please don't shout, I pressed this suit for the occasion." Gervais didn't so much criticise as perform a full exorcism on the empty suit that passes for leadership. Because when the promised alternative to chaos feels this beige, satire stops being entertainment and starts feeling like a public service. And Gervais delivered with brutal precision.
Endure it as a ginger. So I've got one up there. I've seen firsthand the difference that makes, and so has Keir. We grew up in different ends of the country and at different times. Not too different. But we endured the same insecurities and hardship that so many working people face. I guess the one difference is, though, I had to endure it as a ginger. So I've got...
Ricky Gervais doesn't just point out the absurdity, he cranks it up with a grin, taking one look at Starmer's entire political aura, examining it with forensic focus, and uncovering a whole lot of nothing. No spark, no centre of gravity, just a neatly pressed vacuum wearing a suit. Trying to locate genuine emotion in Starmer feels like attempting to stream Netflix through a potato. Technically it might function, but the experience leaves you questioning your life choices. Ask him to express a feeling, and he'd likely seek legal advice before booking a follow-up meeting in triplicate, having perfected the art of saying absolutely nothing in the most elaborate way possible, every sentence sounding as if assembled by a government-issued chatbot trained purely on public service pamphlets. So determined not to offend any side, he's somehow managed to irritate all of them. The left sees a sellout with a polished tie, the right sees a damp tissue armed with a law degree, and the mythical centre just stares, half convinced he's a temporary placeholder waiting for an actual politician to arrive.
And got, what's his name? Keir Starmer, sir. That bastard excused Jimmy Savile. He's the one who signed off and said there wasn't enough evidence. That bastard is going to be the prime minister. So a guy who literally, who signed off and said not enough evidence of the man what we now know, Sir Jimmy Savile, who 500 while being greeted by the Queen and, BBC covering. Keir Starmer, is this acceptable? I'll tell you what, I'd rather die in the fight than bow to that.
Starmer could hold a press conference in a wind tunnel and somehow radiate less energy than the gale around him. His entire palette beige, mood, message, wardrobe, all beige. So much so that you could swap him out for a laminated diagram and most voters wouldn't even notice. Nobody casts a ballot for a walking spreadsheet unless they've completely surrendered on taste, ambition and basic human connection, which is exactly when Ricky Gervais strolls in and can't stop laughing. Remember when leadership meant bold ideas, daring visions, and maybe, just maybe, actually taking a stand? Starmer's version is more like a community notice board, cautious, laminated, and mostly ignored, handling decisions like they're radioactive, circling topics for weeks before finally announcing his stance with all the excitement of a man admitting he forgot to bind his paperwork.
Was one of the worst prime ministers we've ever had, and he's only been with us 81 days. But look what he's done in those 81 days. He's allowed the Chancellor to go ahead with a scheme where 4,000 pensioners could freeze to death this winter, and those are Labour figures, by the way, not Tory figures, OK. He's introduced a raft of policies like energy, which could make us dependent on overseas energy ad infinitum, so dictators around the world will control what we have in this country. Never mind the sleaze. I mean, goodness gracious, he stood up in the Commons once, looked across the box at Boris Johnson and said, sleaze, sleaze.
And when Ricky Gervais decides to put this human embodiment of beige under the microscope, it's not cruelty, it's public service, like being on a burning plane while the pilot calmly reads a policy brief on improved air filtration. Wouldn't you want someone to stand up and shout, "Does this guy know?" We're plummeting? That's Ricky, the voice of sanity in a room full of people pretending everything's fine while the engine falls off. Yet the saddest part of the Starmer saga is his desperate ambition, not to inspire, not to transform, just to be seen as competent, as if his ultimate dream is to be described as adequate in a broadsheet editorial, and somehow even that modest target keeps slipping out of reach. He misses every open goal like it's a talent show trick. A man who could confront a government engulfed in scandal, ministers resigning faster than passengers on the Titanic, and his masterstroke is tweeting. This raises serious questions. Questions, mate, the house is ablaze and you're checking if the smoke alarm works. It's almost an art form how someone can radiate so little urgency